Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, Jackson Hospital's problems. Also, Montgomery Court, Dear Tuberville residency challenge. And a tax phase out divides the GOP.
And I will make it my life's mission to see to it that you never, ever make another dollar that I don't first take 90 cents.
Just like big government, they're gonna take your money. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinary, and Josh Moon, columnist and investigative reporter at APR, and the man who puts clean in Mr. Clean.
Nice. I like that. I do like that. Yeah. Yes. The little kids that are Andy's friends in school, who all refer to me as Mr. Clean when I walk through the lunchroom whenever I go eat with her, they'll really enjoy that as well. Not that any of them will be watching this political show, but you know.
Certainly not.
Probably shouldn't be. This is not for sensitive audiences.
No.
Yeah. Hey, you know, there's the code in medicine: do no harm. Right, that's the code there. If you take a look at Jackson Hospital in Montgomery, they have done so much self-harm that recently a civil bankruptcy court just raked them over the coals. Josh and Susan, as y'all know, for months and months and months and a couple of years, they have blamed Blue Cross Blue Shield for all their troubles, which we all know is not true. But as Josh wrote, somehow Jackson Hospital has screwed up so badly, they make Blue Cross Blue Shield the hero of a story of a failed hospital. Josh, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've never seen in this day and age, in the days of Luigi, I've never seen the insurance companies come out on as the favorable party in any of these stories. But that's what Jackson Hospital has done here. They blamed everybody but themselves for all of the problems that have really affected that hospital, and now apparently they're going to close. Matter of fact, by the time people see this show that we're taping this week, they may have closed. They may have closed their doors. Friday is supposed to have been their last day in operation, and so the city. I know the city's working hard to try to save them. They're trying to bring the county along and get some help there as well. And some other folks in state government have tried to help, have tried to extend some lifelines, and that was one of the things the court talked about. Was they have extended you lifelines and you refuse to grab them. You refuse to take hold of these lifelines that have been extended to you. And the court also was dismayed that the plan presented by Jackson Hospital couldn't be followed by Jackson Hospital. I mean, it's just the whole thing was mind-boggling, and they wanted to blame Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I get it. I mean, in the world of PR, you're looking for somebody easy to blame, and right now insurance companies are very easy to blame for stuff. But it just when it hit the paper, for the judge, it just didn't make a lot of sense, and I think people are slowly realizing that now.
Well, Susan, they tried to say that because of the way Blue Cross Blue Shield reimbursed them, that they just weren't getting enough money. But when you look at the numbers, the years they made money, and a lot of money, they lost money.
Right.
They
were offered over $80 million from state and local entities to help them. They turned that down and still went after Blue Cross Blue Shield. Excuse me. Their revenues have been increasing over the last 12 years, but they're losing more money than they were 12 years ago. Now, trying to blame Blue Cross Blue Shield really didn't make any sense. They were saying that they weren't paying enough of a percentage, like they did to Baptist. Well, Jackson and Baptist do, different things. The Jackson's more of an ER kind of place, and Baptist is more high-end stuff, and high-end stuff pays a higher percentage.
Well, and this is where our state has gone wrong with Medicaid expansion and all that, because Jackson sees a disproportionate number of uninsured Alabamians, because they have to take whoever comes there. They're a nonprofit hospital. They have to take the patients that arrive. But again, Josh, it's not just the people without insurance that have cost that hospital. It's the salaries, the way they've handled their finances, at least according to the records that we've seen. And I'm telling you, the last time you and I did stories on it, people came out of the woodwork ready to tell the real story.
I believe one of those, there was an embezzlement of like about $14 million.
Yeah, that's a story we haven't gotten into yet.
Yeah. Listen, there's been problems, and you're right. All of it kind of goes into this ridiculous soup of the way we handle healthcare and healthcare billing and healthcare finances in America. All right, I mean, a lot of it does. There certainly were a lot of mistakes made by Jackson Hospital, a lot of things that have gone wrong, and a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse that is out there. Okay, I'm not saying otherwise. There is, but also some of it too is not doing things like achieving a trauma center status or doing this or that, or having these different specialties, or welcoming pediatrics cares of certain sorts. All of that impacts the way you can code your billing. And if you try to explain this to a European, they would lose their minds. What are you talking about? I mean, it's so ridiculous and stupid the way that we have decided to conduct our healthcare operations in this state. It's so complicated. So much of it is behind a curtain almost that most people have no idea how it works. And it's so ridiculous the way this has happened. And all of it has gone into this, like I said, soup that has really hurt this hospital, and it's hurt hospitals all over the country.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna segue into something that has hurt people all over Alabama. Some 5 years ago, they passed a law to make medical marijuana, medical cannabis available. We only got about a minute to talk about this, unfortunately. The first dispensary just opened. One dispensary just opened.
Yeah. Free at last.
The lawyers who have done the most to keep anything from moving forward have now withdrawn from AMCC, which they should have been fired years ago, and we probably wouldn't, in my opinion, be where we are. But they have been, they've left the case, and so maybe, just maybe, we might get something done. We got 20 seconds. Who wants to jump in?
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess, and it's a mess of their own making. They didn't follow the Alabama Administrative Procedures Act in coming up with the licensing process. That's where all of this stems from. And then they refused to correct their mistake, and they fought it for years.
But they got wealthy doing it. And that's the important part, because taxpayers wanted to pay lawyers to hold things up. Anyway, you're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Well, we knew it was going to happen, and it has happened. A lawsuit has been filed by 2 veterans against Tommy Tuberville, challenging his residency, the residency requirement to run for governor. They claim in court that he does not meet the 7-year continuous residency. And Susan, Josh, this thing will go before a Montgomery judge come this coming Monday. Mm-hmm. And there's kind of 2 things going on right now. 2 things. There's a factual fight whether Tommy Tuberville actually has lived in the state for 7 years consecutively, continuously.
Right.
And whether the court even can hear the case. So I'd really like to start kind of with the case for the residency, and then move into how Steve Marshall and the state is claiming that the courts can't do anything. So, sure. Josh, lead us off with what is happening in the court as far as the suit.
Yeah. Right. So it's there's a challenge. They call it a quo warranto challenge that has been filed by the 2 military veterans on behalf of the state, and they're claiming now that Tuberville does not meet one of the 3 statutory requirements to become the governor or to be the nominee for governor of this state, and that one is the continuous 7 years residency prior to the general election. And so they believe that they have a case to be made. And so that's what is now before the court. It has been filed in Montgomery Circuit Court, which is where all of these actions should take place, because this is the seat of our government. And so that's what is now before the court, is this thing. And there have obviously been motions to dismiss it, filed by Tuberville and also filed by Wes Allen, who is a named party in his official capacity, because they're asking him to be barred from entering Tuberville's name on the ballot. And so that's where the court case is.
And Susan, the crazy thing is that the Attorney General, Steve Marshall, the state representing Wes Allen and the state, and this suit has come forward and said, well, I'm sorry, there is no court that can hear this case. It is not, and this is the absurd thing, and Josh, you've written about it, I've written about it, but the absurd thing is that they're saying that this is handled by either the party before the election, which the party handled and did a show trial, and then they're saying the only other way is after the election, if he wins, then it goes to the legislature, which will be made up of Republicans, to decide whether he actually is a resident. But they're saying no court can protect us from a constitutional issue.
No, that's not correct. The courts can intervene. At what point that they can actually intervene, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not an attorney, but from my understanding, these cases have come before the courts before, even to the point, the Cole case came. Now, he was already an elected official, but as far as I understand, because Tuberville is the nominee, is a quasi-public official, so that makes it in the court's purview to be able to see this case, hear this case, rather.
But Steve Marshall, in this case, is arguing, Josh, and you've written about it, and so have I. They are arguing that because he is not already elected, but they actually say it never should go before the court.
Yeah, that's just one of the things that they say is that because he's not an elected official, that this doesn't apply. And that's really that, and they don't even really make a very compelling argument and spend much time on that particular portion of it, because I think they know that that's really, really thin. And there's also have been, as Susan said, there have been some cases tried under the quo warranto statute. And some people kicked off the ballots for this. Matter of fact, Barry Ragsdale, who's litigating this case on behalf of the 2 military veterans, he has participated in cases in which they have used this particular challenge to have some people removed. So it is something that happens. Now, it's really kind of shocking, though. I mean, first of all, Steve Marshall does not even need to be involved in this particular fight of this thing, okay? Because he's only representing Wes Allen in his official capacity. Right. The AG's office is only representing West Allen. And West Allen's portion of this has no relation whatsoever to whether or not Tommy Tuberville meets the residency requirements. It's a completely different matter for West Allen, and they're not really suing him in his personal capacity. They're suing him in his official capacity and to prevent him from putting his name on the ballot. So they didn't even have to be involved in this, but they did. They entered this fray specifically to defend Tommy Tuberville, and I don't know why they wanted to do it, whatever their reasoning is. I mean, they're all part of the team, I guess. But to hear the Attorney General, or to read the Attorney General's office say that we cannot have we can't have this challenge in the court.
Can y'all hear
is
it still?
Unbelievable. I mean, the constitutional laws can't be determined by a court is really something that's off the charts. I've never heard of anything quite like that before in my life. I mean, for the Attorney General to say that in writing, that constitutional issues can't be determined by a court and must be determined by these private entities, these parties, which have done such a bang-up job so far of doing them, right?
Yeah,
they've done such a wonderful job of doing this. It's ridiculous.
Shows, you know.
Well, and look, we've got a judge, Brooke Reed, Montgomery County Circuit Judge. She's new. Mm-hmm. She has been on the district court before. She will have to decide whether to dismiss this case on those grounds or let it go forward. Now, whichever way that goes, it is going to go to the Alabama Supreme Court.
Somebody's going to
Both sides are going to go to the Alabama Supreme Court, no matter what happens. Then we're going to see, do the justices of the Alabama Supreme Court believe in the rule of law, or do they believe in the rule of party? And I think that's where the rubber will meet the road. Now, some people told me that this judge is very ambitious, as many of them are. There's nothing wrong with ambition. But she also has judicial restraint, and she'll have to make a hard decision. But Steve Marshall and the gang has argued that they're in uncharted water. Guess what? Almost all constitutional cases start out in uncharted water. That's how they end up being in charted water. Yeah. And so for that to be,
it's not that uncharted. It's not that uncharted.
It's not. But to say it's uncharted water, well, I say, Judge Reed, chart the way. Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Alabama, Susan, has one of the most regressive tax systems in the country. We tax people so early that it almost cripples them from day one when they take a job. And then we tax people that make millions the same rate. So it's just the most unfair tax system I've ever lived under. Now, this is going to break some liberals' hearts, and it should. John Wall, when he was running for lieutenant governor, and a lot of people miss this, proposed phasing out Alabama's income tax over a period of 6 to 8 years, and he wants to start doing it by eliminating those punitive taxes on poor and working families, single people starting out in their careers, and work from the bottom up.
Right. Well, we start taxing people as a single, filing a single return at $3,000, filing married at $7,000. I mean, that's not enough money to really begin. You should be paying taxes. I mean, the ceiling there should be a little bit higher than that. But what he's
a little bit,
a little bit higher.
A little bit higher. You can't live on $7,000.
You can't. It's ridiculous that we're taxing them at that. But one of the first thing he wants to do is eliminate that and raise it higher, a lot higher than what it is before you actually have to start paying taxes, which sounds perfectly fine, and that it will work. But I lost my thought.
Well, it's okay. This happens because you know a lot about taxes. But the thing is, I thought you were going to transition to this. API,
yes.
Alabama Policy Institute, came after him for that. And this is supposed to be the conservative think tank of Alabama. And they said, oh, it's impossible. We can't get it done, blah, blah, blah. But Josh, this is the kind of thing that Democrats have been talking about for 40 years. Now, John Wall stood up as a Republican and said, hey, this is wrong to be taxing the way we're taxing. We're taxing the heck out of the poorest people in the state by the same measure that we're taxing millionaires. And he was like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
But he wants to eventually eliminate the tax, just like Florida has, just like Tennessee has, and Mississippi's moving that way.
Yeah. Well, to quote John McClane from Die Hard, welcome to the party, pal. It's honestly, like every year, there's some issue in which a Republican comes out and starts talking about how great of an idea they've got. And it's like they've rediscovered the Titanic or something. I mean, it's something that, progressives have come up with 7-8 years ago, to do these things, to eliminate the bottom taxes on the bottom earners and to make things more fair. Really, and look, to give full credit, Bob Riley tried to revamp Alabama's taxes several years ago. Of course, caught absolute hell for that. Was run completely out of office for that and other things. But I mean, it was, is it a good idea? Yes. I would like to see it fully fleshed out to see exactly where they're going to. But since they're going to stop screwing so many of the poor people with this tax, which tax they're going to implement to rescrew them. But because I assume there's something coming, because God knows we're not going to tax the wealthy appropriately in here, or force us to claim these unrealized gains on taxes or on investments, or on forestry land or things of that nature. No way. But I'm guessing that there's another way that we're going to go about this, because we can't lose the money. All right, we've got to come up with a replacement for this money somehow, and I would like to see it.
But and back to Bill's point too. But API just can't come out and just criticize it without actually seeing the plan either.
Right, and again, no one's claiming that there is a plan that will work or when it will take place. What Wall wanted to do, and I give him credit for this, and I've criticized Wall a lot, I give him credit for making that a part of his campaign plank, which many people missed amongst the squirrels and the flying monkeys and everything else that was out there, and the Muslims and people blasting criminals into space.
What I admire him more than that for is making a plan. Even starting a plan of anything, because all we've seen of any plans lately is plan to disenfranchise the LGBTQ community, plan to ban books, plan to do this, but not a plan that actually helps people.
It is. I'll say this in Wall's defense as well. It is nice to be talking about an issue, and not something that you're against, but something that you're for. Here's an idea that I think will help people. Not, hey, we need to figure out a way to marginalize these marginalized people more, but an actual way to go about having a discussion over an issue. Now, I mean, we may not ultimately agree with the way this is structured. As a matter of fact, I suspect that we probably won't, because that's just the fundamental nature of the differences in our belief systems. But I do think that that having the conversation is always good, because then you get input from all these different sides, which again is why we got to get rid of all the damn gerrymandering, so we can have some meaningful conversations and absolutely have compromise and people working together to come to a solution that fits a bunch of different people, not just the people at the very top.
Well, I am happy to see, and look, Wall has taken on lots of controversial issues, the book and all that stuff, and I get all that, but again, I have followed up with him since the campaign. He has been meeting with the proper people to come up with a solution that is a 6 to 8 year plan. And this is something that it will not only benefit the poorest and those starting out and families,
And
it will
corporations.
benefit businesses. It will benefit everybody.
Especially small businesses.
Yeah, especially small business, for hiring, for economic development issues. We don't have enough time to get to it, but Representative Thomas Jackson, Action Jackson, this past week wrote a column for APR. I suggest you go read it, about what is happening to Alabama's family farms under the great big pile of beautiful bill.
They're vanishing.
And that they are getting destroyed by what's happened in the Middle East, an unprovoked war of choice, and how it is just killing our farmers in our state who make money growing things from the ground. And it's just
Vote accordingly.
yeah, but anyway, we're going to leave it right there. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.